When you say like punishment, a lot of times they're not punishment in the sense that people think. It ain't like people are beaten. They're just locked away. I mean, sensory deprivation is like, if you take a place like ADX, I mean, like you have people who might have been locked in some of them units like I said, years. I mean, sometimes they're let out for a little bit with a little bit more relative freedom, only in the sense that they might be able to get mail, but they still haven't had any human contact, or they haven't been able to touch their families. And that's not punishment in the sense of beating, but I mean, like, we almost got to the point where I can't even say like animals, because people don't even think animals should be kept away from other people that long. I'm watching the way a lot of the times, like what they do when they keep people away from them units. Because I had a conversation with the wife of somebody that's been there for about 15, 20 years now in Florence. And her husband didn't know that another person that had been there a long time was even still there. And the impact of that is that sometimes it's like they also play people off. Well, so-and-so really worked themselves out. And so-and-so's right there. So besides the fact it can be discouraging sometimes when you think other folks actually going that you thought was close to you, it's like it also, they play that thing where maybe somebody said or did something to get out. But they didn't even know when they were there. So, and actually the way it goes, because you can't mention the name, a prisoner can't mention the name of another prisoner, you don't know what's true. And even if that wife knows, not necessarily a thing where she can let her husband know without losing privileges. And I don't know what part this fits in, but that's another thing too, because you can't mention prison, the name of another prisoner in some units. It's people who don't even know how their children are doing. You know, when you figure that some people have been there 30, 40 years, whatever, they have children that may be locked up somewhere and they can't even talk about their children.
What are some of the impacts of that?
Psychologically, it's like, whoa. I mean, I think people just need to imagine what it would be for like them if they can't even talk about other family members. You can't talk about what somebody did on a holiday. And if you're the visitor, you can't even slip and say something. You can't go maybe to another family member and say, I actually talked about you to whoever, because you couldn't. So I think mentally it would have to take a toll on people. Mm-hmm. People to put up with it got to be strong. Strong, or maybe, and this is the other thing too, you just become a thing where you just got to wipe out and don't even think about them things no more. But I mean, how good is that? Because then it ain't even a thing like hope or whatever. You just got to cut people and things out. Some people can do it and still like have a smile on their face. Some people, not that they don't want to, but they can't smile. They can't allow themselves to smile. They can't think, they can't ask. But and not just the person outside. I mean, they would feel it the most in some ways, but what it must do for those family members outside. And it's not like you get answers. You don't get answers about why. If you ask too many questions, then you don't get visits no more. So, and when you mentioned about how long I've actually been doing it, sometimes when I think back to it, I know like the first time they talked to me about person that talked to me about abolition, and had actually been somebody that had come from Marion back in the days when Marion was first opening. I think he mentioned it. I was in 1975. I met that person in 76. And I think he had the book was called Instead of Prisons. And because I belonged in a group inside the prisons, and we started getting those books and we would go into it and found out that there was a thing called, PIC Abolition. So that was the first time. It was back that long. But again, he picked it up from Marion. And a lot of people won't even remember Marion. When Marion was open, Marion was thought to be, when people found out about it, Marion was thought to be that cruel thing. And like they said, what was the purpose of Marion was to stifle revolutionary impulses both within the prison system and outside. So from the beginning, it was always meant to do what it did. But again, at least from then, from 75, I knew about people working on it, and people were working on it.